that secret polling conducted when Sally Capp was the Lord Mayor of Melbourne has revealed the public were concerned about her bike lane expansion. A report by Redbridge from March to April 2022, so just after all those terrible lockdowns, found that 90% of Melburnians hadn't used the new bike lanes. It comes after hundreds of pages of documents were released following a 2-year Freedom of Information battle, showing taxpayers' funds were used to conduct personal polling on Sally Capp's performance. Joining me now, someone who puts the blowtorch to the councils, Council Watch President Dean Hurlston. Well, I live in the city of Melbourne,
yes.
Very close to the CBD, and of course, under the cover of COVID lockdowns, these bike lanes appeared. I have a desk that looks over a very busy road. I barely see a bike on it, and now we find out that people didn't want them, didn't know about them, and all of these other findings.
Yeah, look, Nicholas Rees really has something to explain here. He knew all about this, obviously. He was Sally's deputy and he's now the Lord Mayor. So we want him to front up and explain, Peter. We keep seeing the City of Melbourne and all councils abusing the FOI process and hiding these issues.
And we know the bike lanes are a real issue in the looming campaign, aren't they?
Yeah,
absolutely. The ballots in October?
Absolutely, October. And we know that people want them ripped up.
Wow. And we saw the same thing in Sydney. And Carolyn Marcus had a story yesterday. A whole lot of traders came out and said, we don't believe the Lord Mayor there, Clover Moore, saying that there are 3,000 bikes a day. They did some numbers. It's closer to 300 a day.
Yeah, absolutely. What we know is that activist councillors who've got in, like Clover Moore and Sally Capp, have used the system and hidden this under FOI privilege. They've tried to block the information and they actually didn't consult the traders and the people that will lose their businesses if this continues.
What's the Cumberland Council doing in New South Wales?
So they're all fighting over a councillor code of conduct and they've spent over $150,000 of ratepayers' money fighting them. But the funny thing is, Peter...
What, they don't want to sign a code of conduct?
No, they're fighting each other over what they say and do on social media and in the public. Freedom of speech is great, but we've got a system, and it's worse in Victoria. The Hume City Council has spent about $500,000 on code of conducts between councillors. We've got to put an end to this. The minister needs to fix this.
What about the case in Brisbane? You've got a councillor on the Brisbane City Council who puts out a newspaper, assuming it's supposed to be roads, rates and rubbish, all the stuff that you care about from your local council. But it's all about a pro-Palestinian push. Now, they've been forced to pay back some money.
Yeah, they have. And what we keep seeing in many council publications...
And it's $20,000. It's a lot of money.
It's $20,000. And what we keep seeing, even in Victorian councils, is the Greens and the Socialists and everybody that's the activist that's got onto council, the Teals, they're actually forming all these committees, refugee committees, climate change committees. There are hundreds of them across the state.
Can't they read the Constitution?
Well, you know, they think that they're the third level of government that gets to triple our use of taxes. They're trying to duplicate what state and federal does, and they need to stay in their lane and provide local services and stop with the activism. It's not their role. They need to stop talking about Gaza. They need to stop talking about international issues. They are not what people pay their rates for.
But isn't this because the Libs basically have vacated the space for a long time?
Yeah.
And they did it originally because they thought it should be a groundswell of local people. It shouldn't be political parties. And what's happened is the left have used it as a training ground. So they don't care that these are federal issues.
That's right.
They're blooding people, getting their name recognition up
Correct.
in order then to move them into the other tiers of government.
Yes, and what we know, Peter, is that the vast majority of independent councillors are often left-leaning Teals in disguise or Labor candidates in disguise, you know, in a training ground for a state MP role one day. We're sick and tired of it because what that means is they're doing the bidding of their local member. They're caucusing and they're actually electing mayors in Labor councils based on local member.
So the local member is using it as a power block.
Absolutely. We know, you know, councils like Hume, the city of Dandenong, they're behaving in these ways where the Labor factions are fighting over the power. That is not what locals want local councils to do. We know over 90% of Victorians don't want political parties controlling local councils. So one of the things that we've done for the first time...
I was going to say, what can we do about it? I told my audience you've got an answer for me tonight.
So what we did, Peter, was we thought, what are all the issues? We interviewed thousands of people across the state and said, what are the things you want to know? And all of them said, we actually want transparency. There isn't any. So we've actually put a questionnaire together. We're asking every single candidate to declare their views on climate change, Australia Day, political parties, where they stand on these key issues, so that voters know before they get hoodwinked.
So when I walk in, I'll be able to go to Council Watch, your website, or you'll hand out a flyer that'll give me a pretty straight view of the candidates.
Yeah, so what we do, you have to just go to our website, pop in your email and the council that you're actually from, and we'll actually send you what all of the candidates have said to us.
Fantastic.
And that means before you get your mail ballot, you can look at all of that information and make a really informed decision and get rid of the activism in our councils.
Well, you need to come back when those findings are in and we'll put them out publicly so everyone knows.
100%.
Well done, Dean. That's a great game
Thanks,
changer.
Peter.